Hey, I'm back. Yeah, you guys can't get rid of me that easy. I had to restart because for some reason it kicked out the YouTube people, and YouTube people are important. So we just restarted. So welcome to our live stream tonight. Hope you guys had a great day. For those of you who are new and don't know me, I'm Coach Neighbors, and welcome to Advocates for Justice Foreclosure Defense Paralegal Service. We are different and we prove it. Yay! So let's get started. Tonight's subject, we got a couple of subjects that we're going to be working on tonight. The main subject, well, a couple of them are main subjects. So tonight um, we're going to talk about how I handle my traffic tickets. I had a couple traffic tickets. The police recognized my truck because I have a business name on the side of it. And we're going to cover how to do that, or at least how I did that, and give you some ideas on how you might want to do it if you're facing this situation. We're also going to cover a little more about attorney fraud. Apparently, a lot of people like attorney fraud videos and how to beat down the attorney. So we're going to do a little bit today about how to beat that attorney down that's in your face before you get to court, because you got some things you can do to let them know you're going to be a total pain in their butt. And that's what we need to be doing. So let's just kind of get right into it. Now, before we get into all that, I want to tell you guys to make sure you subscribe to my channel and click that bell so you get notifications whenever we're getting ready to do something. When class starts, you don't want to be late. And I also want to take a minute to thank all of the people who are supporting me on YouTube and Facebook, because the Facebook people are the YouTube people, and the YouTube people are the Facebook. Yeah, it goes both ways. And I also want to take a minute uh, to thank Gene at the HamiltonRadio.net for allowing me to have my show on there and talk to everybody. We didn't have the show today. One of Gene's pets had to have surgery, so it gave me a chance to catch up on some stuff. And whether I got caught up or not is a different story. But we didn't have the show today, so I wanted to go on tonight and talk to you guys, and because I need to give information. I can't get backed up on this information because I got a lot to say. So you guys are in for a real treat, because some of the things that we're going to learn today are things you can use to kick the attorney's butt. I almost said the bank's attorney, but if you're listening to me, hopefully you know that it's not the bank's attorney, and that the attorney is working on behalf of the attorney's law firm, illegally collecting as a third-party debt collector. So that is the number one mistake that most people make when they're trying to fight their foreclosure. They do their paperwork, they file their stuff in court, and they do not have the name of the person that initiated the foreclosure against their property. They do not have that person listed on their lawsuit anyplace. And if you're in a judicial foreclosure, that person's going to be the attorney. The attorney is the only one that signs. The bank doesn't sign anywhere. And as a matter of fact, we have the second biggest mistake is, in my opinion, is people getting the two processes mixed up. Okay, the illegal foreclosure loan and the illegal and the fraudulent mortgage. The illegal foreclosure situation and the fraudulent mortgage loan are two entirely different situations, and they're run by two entirely different parties or different parties. So when you go into court and you're addressing the mortgage loan, you're using the mortgage loan people to address the foreclosure issue, then you just get kicked out of court for failure to state a claim under Rule 12B. And we actually talked about that last week. So if you got your lawsuit dismissed for failure to state a claim, then you need to go look at the video that we put up last week explaining you how to state a claim for relief, just like the attorneys do. Yeah, we learn how to do it just like them, and then we just stick it right back in their face. So we're going to like change up just a little bit this week and talk about something fun, and then we're going to do a little bit more on the attorney fraud because a lot of people are interested in that. Now, I don't want to get fixated on kicking attorneys' asses, but that's what it is. So, and that's how I roll. So I get a little fixated on that, and that's what we focus on. Now, I had the most views on my attorney fraud series, so we're going to just fixate on that for a little while. And there's a couple of videos. I'm going to have sections in the video where we do talk about that, because I don't want to spend the whole time talking about that because we got other things we need to talk about. But this is important because for the people who understand that the judge is not the one running the show in court, it's the attorney running the show before court. By the time you show up, they've already worked it all out how they're going to do you. So, and when I say that, you probably can think back in your head, and the way everything went down, you could tell it was planned already. So that video that we did on how to state a claim for relief is valuable, and anybody that's doing this should take the time to review it. And this week's stream, the stream I'm doing now, is a lot easier than the one I did last week because I had to do some more homework myself on all that stuff. But on the attorney fraud, I don't have to do any homework. I already got all that down. So we're going to talk about some of that a little bit later today. So the attorney fraud is something I know all about because after I got back from my government vacation, they had 12 fake charges against me in federal court. And it took me 2 years to get all of that stuff dismissed. And I'm going to say I've never been convicted of anything in state or federal court. So despite what a few people a few lies that one person spreading on Facebook, on a couple of Facebook pages, I've never been convicted of anything in my life. So, and I'm sure he checked. But people who are in back of the line got a lot of lip service, you know. So I don't even look back there because you know how the thing says in the Bible, if you look back there, you turn into like the Saul thing or something. So anyway, so when I got out, I wanted to learn how things go in court. So I drove around with my seatbelt off. Yep, drove around without my seatbelt, smiling at the police officers. And yeah, they were pretty pissed that I got out and they weren't able to charge me with anything. So yeah, I was very visible, and they were checking me out very clear. So I drove around smiling and waving without my seatbelt on. And I figured it was easier to learn how to kick their butt in traffic court than where I could just like walk in the front door without the chains and shackles, right? Yeah, that was a little easier program than trying to learn the other way. So the Lawrence Police gave me several seatbelt tickets, and they actually gave me 4 different seatbelt tickets, and I got a speeding ticket, and I was only going 1 mile over the speed limit while I was waving and smiling at them. Yeah, so you might can tell I had a little fun with this. So anyway, I decided I wasn't going to pay the $10 for the each seatbelt tickets because it was just the principle. I wasn't paying. So that was the end of that. So we started our little court hearings, and I showed up in municipal court. And it was kind of interesting because the first day I showed up for court, the judge was like, "So, Mr. Neighbors, we're going to, excuse me, sir, I'm going to waive the benefit of a plea today, and I'm not contracting with anybody in the court or outside of the court or anywhere else." And so the traffic court judge looked at me and said, well, don't worry, Mr. Neighbors. I'm just going to enter a plea of not guilty for you on your behalf. And I said, oh, okay, great. So the matter settled, right? Well, excuse me. Well, if you're the traffic court judge and you're entering a plea of not guilty for me on my behalf, and you're the traffic court judge, then you just ruled I'm not guilty and it's over with. I can go home and this is done. No, missionary, that's not the way this works. Yeah. It got a little worse. So I asked him, I said, well, I do have a question. If there was a conflict of interest, you'd have to dismiss the case, right? Well, yes, Mr. Neighbors, if there was a conflict of interest, I'd have to dismiss the case. Oh, well, let me see. So there's a conflict of interest here because you're getting paid by the city. The police officer's getting paid by the city, but the prosecutor's getting paid by the city. The only one that's not getting paid by the city is like, and I was going to say me, and I looked around and the courtroom full of people. So I added them. I said, me and all of these people here. And everybody's like, what? Yeah, the judge was getting a little more grumpy at that. And then he told me that he was going to schedule a hearing for me. And I told him that I was not interested in contracting, and the court didn't have jurisdiction, and so that was going to be a problem. And if he followed through, that I was going to have to file a claim against him or whatever. So he told me that he was going to enter a plea of not guilty, and that that I needed to show up for the hearing, and he wanted me to sign something. And I said, well, no, I'm not signing anything because I already told you guys I'm not contracting. I don't agree with anything that's going on here, and I'm not signing anything. And he said, well, you're not signing that you're guilty. You're just signing that that you will appear. I said, yeah, but in the Black's Law Dictionary, to appear means to give the court jurisdiction, right? Oh man, his whole neck turned red. He was getting really pissed. So I told him, no, I'm not signing. And I said, are we done here? And I started walking out the door. And he said, your trial date, Mr. Neighbors, is set for blah, 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 blah. And I just kept walking. So then I started doing some research. And I was shocked. So I started doing the research. And the first thing that I found was, and before I say this, I'm going to ask, has anybody ever wondered why traffic court is not connected to state court? Why is traffic court down the street? Well, I'm going to answer that for you. Because traffic court is municipal court. And so for me to figure out how to defend yourself, okay, you need to always be addressing the lack of jurisdiction. Because if you go into any court, a foreclosure court or criminal court, any court, trying to argue what they said you did or didn't do, you're screwed. You might as well just go and take the deal, okay, because you're going to be screwed. You always want to be addressing the jurisdiction or the lack thereof. So my quest always starts with the jurisdiction. How does the court get jurisdiction? Does the court have jurisdiction? Blah, blah, blah. And that's it. That's jurisdiction is the only thing. So in looking at municipal court's jurisdiction, what I found out was that municipal court gets its jurisdiction from the freaking city ordinance. A city ordinance or ordinance is lower on the list than a code or a statute. The city ordinance is like low on the list. And so I'm like, now, wait a minute. How can a corporation give itself judicial authority? That's messed up. But they do it all day. Not only do they give themselves judicial authority, what else I found out was that the reason traffic court is up the street because it's not connected to the Constitution or anything else. It's only connected to the city. Yep. Check. All you got to do is Google court clerk's manual for your state. You probably pull it up. That's what I did. And I found court clerk's manual for the state of Kansas and looked it up. And not only does municipal court not have jurisdiction, they can't fine anyone. If they fine you, they can fine you, but they can't force you to pay because they don't have jurisdiction. They fine you, and then you're supposed to go back over to state court to go through the process again. Yeah, it's jacked up. If you demand to have a trial by a jury, then they have to send you over to state court because municipal court don't have, yeah. So why is municipal court doing what they're doing? Well, because no one knows this, no one challenges this, and they screw people over all day long. They don't have jurisdiction to make a judicial determination. Oh, hell no. A corporation can't give itself judicial authority to start taking people's money and locking them up in jail. Oh, hell no. But it happens all day long because we're not educated. So when I researched their program, I started out, well, how they take jurisdiction illegally. That's where you should start all the time if you want to be in a position that you need to be in to make them sit the hell down and leave you alone in the end. Okay. Well, it didn't take long for me to figure out that the summons that the police officer wrote to me, the ticket, the traffic ticket, it's a summons because it's ordering you to appear in court. It didn't take me long to figure out that that summons was also a violation of my constitutional rights. The Constitution mandates that the three branches of government, the legislative, the judicial, the legislative, and the executive branch of government are to be separated to prevent corruption. The separation clause in the Constitution mandates that these branches are separated to prevent fraud and corruption. So when the police officer signs the summons for me to appear in a court that's supposed to be signed by a judicial officer of the court, that's a violation of the separation clause in the Constitution and a violation of your constitutional rights. Yep. See, this is how it goes when you keep it simple. And most people have no idea how much power they have. The problem is, they don't have an idea. The other problem is that they don't know how to use it. The police officer works in the executive branch enforcing. He has no business, or she has no business signing her name on the summons to appear in court. Now, what I've done is spent a lot of time researching the loopholes in their processes and procedures. And this is what I come up with. This is my non-conventional strategy that uses their own shit to stick back in their face. And I love it. So anyway, the traffic court judge kept ignoring my jurisdictional challenge. He was grumpy. And when I cited the statutes that, okay, so here's the thing that most people don't realize too, is that traffic court judge is not a real judge. None of them are a real judge because a real judge is a judicial judge. And all the places that they make us go are administrative courts with administrative personnel. You can call them whatever you want. But the problem is the traffic court judge is not a judge. When I started researching the judge's authority, the alleged judge's authority, I don't want to confuse you. When I started researching the alleged judge's authority, what I found was that the traffic court judge in municipal court is not a judge. It's not connected to the Constitution or anything. Oh, wait, it's connected to the city. And the traffic court judge is an attorney that's appointed to run the traffic court, the municipal court. So we're going uphill, yes, Your Honor, yes, Your Honor. The damn dude that's a freaking attorney that's been appointed to come up there and take your shit. Now, when he started ignoring the fact that I was challenging the jurisdiction, the next hearing, I figured this out, that he wasn't a real judge. Oh, you think he was pissed when I challenged him in the first hearing and I didn't want to, oh, he was, made some kind of comment about me and the internet. I don't know what he was talking about, because the internet's working really well for me. I'm just saying. Okay, he gonna make a comment about it. The internet's working pretty well for me. I'm gonna go back and get on as soon as I get the hell out of here. Shit, are you kidding me right now? Yeah. So what I did was I went ahead and I filed my lawsuit in federal court for the 4 traffic tickets and the 1 speeding ticket. And I included the state of Kansas, because the state of Kansas is the person that's paying them fools to harass me. And the state of Kansas is the one who paid them fools to attack my family and put me through, our family through what we went through for 10 years, and forced me to learn what I know to help me do what I'm doing now. So that's the only good thing about this. So now the state judge has conflict. Funny how that goes. One of the best things that I've learned on my journey is how to jam the court, how to control the court and the attorneys and the judges. And you can't do it if you're doing stuff the conventional way, because the conventional way was structured by those fools for them. And once the arguing starts, the judge gets to help them. That's the way their program is structured. Didn't take me too long to figure that out. Well, it took me a while to get out, but it wasn't because I couldn't figure it out. I just couldn't get out yet. They said I was mentally ill. Yeah, I'm kind of sticking that back in their face, I think. Anyway, let's stay focused here. So at one point, so I filed a restraining order because, they just kept ignoring me. So I filed my claim against the traffic court judge, the state, the police officer, everybody in federal court. And then they still start stalling. They were stalling more than I was. And so then I filed a restraining order, and I'll kind of speed this up a little bit, to block the city judge from, the city appointed attorney from making determinations when they're not part of the Constitution, and making those determinations outside of the Constitution. And when I did that got a little bit of attention, and a couple of hearings got canceled. And so at that point, then I filed a restraining order against the police department for issuing citations without doing it within the Constitution, because we're just going to cut to the chase now. So that's what I did. And now they started taking me a little more serious. So this is the part where you should be taking notes and apply this stuff to your own situation. Okay. This went on for a year and a few months. And they do not know what you're doing. They do not know how to defend if your game plan is not to go before the judge. Most people file stuff in court. They say, oh, I just want to go before the judge. Want to have the judge rule on? Nah, the judge ain't going to help you. We don't want the judge to rule on none of our stuff. We want them to not want to go to court. We want them to have to kick it out and be done with it long before it's time for the judge to rule on it. So your game plan is to keep filing their dirt in your case on the record for your federal lawsuit. So one day I received a phone call, and it was from the judge's deputy, and she said she was the federal judge's deputy, and the judge wanted to have a phone conference. And so I was like, They said it wouldn't be long, and I was stalling trying to figure out what they were up to. And then the judge spoke up. I didn't realize I was on speakerphone. And the judge spoke up, and he said that, he asked me if I was busy, and he told me it'd only be about 10 or 15 minutes. So I told him I could call him back in 15 minutes or 20 minutes, because I was right in the middle of something. And so I hung up, and they said cool. So I hung up, and they were waiting for me. So after I hung up, my wife looked at me, and I was just kind of sitting there. And she's like, what the hell are you doing? And I started laughing, and I was like, and she's like, well, what are you doing? You going to call? I'll call him back, 15, 20 minutes. No, I'll call the judge back when I'm ready. When I call them back, I want to make sure that they know who's running the show. Okay. And when I call them back, I asked them how I can help them. Well, the judge started talking to me, and he just asked me right, Mr. Names, what is it you want? Like, I'm thinking to myself, damn, we're getting right to it. I like this. So I told him, I want the police department to leave me alone, stop harassing me. I want to have the tickets all off my dismissed, wiped off my record, so they don't show on my record. And unless there's an injured party, I would like the sheriff's department to come and talk to me about any issues that need to be discussed. I've been living in Lawrence, Kansas for 42 years, and I've never had a problem with the sheriff's department. It's only the police department and not everybody. I just want to go on, it's not everybody. It's just a handful of a few people. I'm trying to keep this nice. It could be a family show tonight. It's not all of it. As a matter of fact, I have people that I respect that work for the police department, and I have friends that work for the police department as well. So I want to throw that right on the table because I don't want people to think that I'm hating on the police department. Just a few people. Yeah, it's okay if you think I'm hating on the attorneys. Okay, sorry. I got carried away. So what happened was everything I asked for, the judge asked the people, I don't know, the appointed judge and whoever else was there, is that going to work for you? Oh yeah, they all agreed. And then my last thing I told them, I want my case dismissed. I want it moot so that it's still paid. And if these people start harassing me again, then I don't have to pay the $400 to file my case again, because I don't have a lot of confidence in the police department, the few people in the police department following the rules, because that's the problem and why we're here now, because they're not following the law or the rules. So I don't know if they dismissed it or not, but I didn't hear no more about it. And I've been stopped 1 or 2 times, and the whole stop was totally different when they came back after running my name. I think I cost them quite a bit of money for the $10 seatbelt tickets. So let's get on with the next one, how to beat down the foreclosing attorney. So one of the things that I want to share with you guys is the first thing you want to talk about attorneys don't have no license, okay? Attorneys do not have a license. And I want to show you the case law that I use whenever they try to get in my face. Let's see if I can find it here. There it is. Now I'm going to move it down here. Now I'm going to copy and paste these in the comment section when I post this video, so you guys can see it. So you don't have to worry about, trying to take notes from it or whatever, because I'll post it in the comment section, and I posted this before. So what this is an accumulation of all of my stuff. Well, not all of it, of 2 pages of my stuff that I use to stick in attorneys' faces when they want to come and try to tell me that I'm engaged in practice law without a license and stupid stuff like that. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay. So here we go. Let me get my cursor over here to the right place. Lawyers and attorneys are not licensed to practice law. The nature of the lawyer craft in America, as per the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court rules the practice of law cannot be licensed by any state, lowercase and higher case. Swear versus the Board of Examiners. Now, this is priceless right here, because every time they when they were trying to shut me down, when the Attorney General for the state of Kansas was trying to shut me down, this was the main thing that I stuck in their face. And it's really weird. They came after me with the Consumer Protection Agency, okay, that's supposed to protect people. So I'm like, so why are you guys bothering me? Well, Miss Davis, I'm right practical law without license, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not injuring anybody. The people that I'm helping are already about to get kicked out of their house. So how can I injure them? That don't make sense unless what I help them do makes them get kicked out of their house faster. Well, they didn't want to talk about that. Well, in the end, they didn't want to talk about any of it. I stuck with this. I kept this right in their face, and then I started learning how to do the lawsuit packages. And once I learned how to do that, things just kind of changed a little bit, because they no longer wanted to keep bothering me if I was costing them money. And so you can see there's some really nice stuff in this set of notes. And this one here, I like here, the bar is an unconstitutional monopoly, an illegal criminal enterprise that violates Article 2, Section 1, the separation and power clause of the Constitution. That's the exact clause I was talking about the police officers violate when they sign the summons against you. So this is several pages of notes, and I'll leave these in the comment section. It's going to look like a lot of stuff, but if you're dealing with this, or if you're helping people, this is priceless to keep them out of your face. So yeah, it's about 3 pages long. So that's it for that. So the next thing that we're going to move on with is that, so most of the time when these attorneys they file these lawsuits in state court against you, and when you file your lawsuit in federal court tries to kick you out. They try to say, oh well, state court has, under their Rooker-Feldman doctrine or the Erie whatever, you can't take a case from state court and bring it to federal court because federal court's not an appeals court. Well, the Rooker-Feldman doctrine is one, and I actually have I put together a response to smack the judge's order on the Rooker-Feldman doctrine. And what I found was that they're misusing that doctrine. They're misusing it. The doctrine was designed to stop plaintiffs in state court that lost from using federal court as an appeals court. That's what the doctrine is for. But when the judge uses it, misuses it, and sticks it in people's face, the homeowner's like, oh my God, the judge said this. Oh my God, I'm done. No, the judge is a bar member. And the way to tell when bar members are lying is their mouth is moving. When their mouth's moving, they're lying. So don't believe it just because the judge said that you're done, okay? Because the judge is full of crap, and they're lying to help their attorneys kick your ass. And that's the way that goes. And here's the deal. If people would relax, breathe in the paper bag or whatever, and do the research, they will find that they can't be the plaintiff in state court unless they're foreclosing on themselves. So they use this because people freak out and nobody actually spends the time to research it and break it down and look at. Most of the time, what they're sticking in your face is bullshit. You just have to figure out where that little piece is to pull on. And once you figure that out, it's downhill from there. So what I usually tell the federal court, and what I usually even tell the state court, if you're in the state court, that state court don't have jurisdiction to hear the foreclosure because the attorney is a foreign agent. The attorney is a foreign agent, and as such cannot file a claim in state court because state court does not have jurisdiction to hear a claim filed by an agent from another country. You can't even file a claim against someone in another state using state court. You have to go through federal court. These are the loophole things that I picked out in their processes that we're using to stick back in their face. At the end of the day, you can move to have your foreclosure dismissed. If you're in a judicial foreclosure, you can move to court to have your foreclosure dismissed because state court does not have jurisdiction because the attorneys are considered a foreign agent. Now, if they try to tell you otherwise, then what you want to ask them is, well, why is the attorney forced to file a notice of appearance? The attorney is forced to file a notice of appearance because the attorney is a foreign agent. And that notice of appearance it verifies that he's a foreign agent or she's a foreign agent. End of the story. Foreign agent, state court does not have jurisdiction. The case must be dismissed. It's so simple, but people don't want to use the simple stuff because they're like, oh my God, this doesn't fit my state. Well, you're going to file in federal court. It doesn't matter. Well, my state does different shit. Yeah, you're right. Your state does a lot of different shit. It's illegal shit, and they're getting away with it because you're condoning it and not standing up to them. I have people tell me, oh, well, this don't apply because my state's different. Well, your state's screwing you. So you can keep letting them screw you, or you can stand over here and make them straighten the hell up and go sit down, or add their names to your lawsuit. Because at the end of the day, it don't matter who you sue, as long as you're suing whoever it is that's blocking your ass from getting into court. That's how we roll here. Okay, whoever's blocking you from getting in court, that's who you're going to end up suing, because they all playing together, and it don't include you. And I'm sure you figured that out by now. And here's one other thing. The Foreign Agent Registration Act. It's called FARA, F-A-R-A, the Foreign Agent Registration Act. It's actually enacted into federal law as well. And the Foreign Agent Registration Act mandates that these foreign agents they must have all of this information put together and visible to the public. I've got people call them up just to screw with the attorneys, because this is part of what I teach people how to do. You want to call them up and screw with them. Now, the first time you may get through to the attorney, but when they talk to you and you start sticking shit in their face they don't want to talk about, then from then on, you'll probably get the answer machine. And I always tell people, take your lawsuit document and structure yourself just a small script from a couple of paragraphs, some stuff you want to ask for. You know, the documents that, I think on page 17, it lists the actual accounting records from the lender that would verify that your loan was always an asset and never a liability. And those things like that. The original contract showing the 6 things that you're saying is missing. Yeah, those are things that you want to ask for in your phone call. And you want to make a little script and just read that script into the phone, because the idea is to let the attorney know you're going to be a pain in the butt. The idea is to let the attorney know that you have an education, some kind of education. And you'll be surprised at how much of an effect just calling them and harassing them will have in the end. You'll be surprised. And I think most of these attorneys that think they have so many people that give up, they don't have time for people that are screaming and fighting and scratching and acting like you act if you get in my program. Yeah, so that's why we do that. So one of the things that, hey, John K., could you put those on a list? I think I have them in one of the 100 videos. So send me an email, John, if you want me to put something on a list for you. Send me an email and be specific in the email what you need. Because by the time I look at the email tomorrow, hopefully I'll get to it tomorrow, then I'll be trying to figure out what the hell it was that I was talking about, because I have a lot to say about stuff. So just put in an email and let me see if I can do this right now. Let me see. I've been using this for a minute now. So here we go. Bam, there you go. There's my email address. Look like I've done this before, right? At least a couple of times. Oh, and I forgot to put this on. I should have put this on for the first. Advocates just for what this. We're different and we probably, okay, I said that. So we're going to move on. I'm just going to leave that there. Well, maybe I'll leave the email on there. And leave the email on there so people can see the email address. Okay, let's see where we are here. So the Foreign Agent Registration Act. And what I would do is call the attorneys. I would ask them for for a time that you could to make an appointment to come down and review their Foreign Agent Registration Act file. Now, before you do any of this, you need to go to the website, the DLD website, and take a look at the Foreign Agent Registration and educate yourself so you know what they're supposed to be doing. So when they start trying to give you a bunch of crap, you know what to say. Now, how you use this? I have people telling me, oh, that's worthless because the judge ain't going to, well, you can't expect the judge to whip these people and do anything. The judge is one of them. Come on now. Now, the way I would use this is I would use it to challenge the court's jurisdiction. If these attorneys don't have the necessary credentials that the federal law that's been enacted into law mandates they should have to be trying to steal your shit, I would be using that. One thing at a time to move to dismiss your stuff. One thing. So last week I showed a list of the 12 or 15 of them common jurisdictional issues that, and some people's case have 3 or 4 of these issues in it. You should only file one issue to dismiss at a time. You file one issue, you get 14 days, and they come back and you respond and blah, 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 and then you appeal, and then you file another one. Yeah. Well, you can do that if you want to, or you drag it out, or you can just spend the $200 and get the jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit and blow up the whole state case before you even file your stuff in federal court. That'd be the ticket, and that's what people are doing. So Foreign Agent Registration Act, you want to harass them with that. And then when you get to court, people, well, judge, these people, no, you need to put it in the documents and you need to file it in court. That's how you get that handled. Because now you got something on the record that you can use, stick in the judge's face if they want to throw you under the bus. Now, the other thing that I did too, I put together a marriage dissolution document where you can get a divorce without having to pay an attorney and go through all of that crap. And what I learned in structuring that document is that there is some value in filing your documents in the public record before you file them in court. And I got a couple people that's doing it now. We're checking that out, because once you place your documents on the public record, they're considered to be in common law jurisdiction. And if you place file stamped or not stamped documents that show that they've been placed on the public record in your case, then that should bind the court a little bit and tie their hands, so they don't have the leeway to be doing all this stuff that they be doing to people. So those are 2 of the ways. Now, the other thing that you want to address also in court, and I like to have people address this in open court on the record verbally. I would verbally I verbally moved the court to dismiss the foreclosure because the attorney does not have a witness and the attorney cannot testify. And if the attorney does not have a witness and can't testify, then the attorney, it's a problem. Yeah, because they need to have a witness. They need to have an injured party. And if they don't have an injured party, then the attorney can't testify. And the judge, they're not used to having people get up in their face. So if the judge is going to ignore you and allow the attorney to testify, what I would do is I would move the court to swear the attorney in so you can cross-examine the attorney. Because anybody that testifies in your case, you have the right as your own attorney to cross-examine them. End of the story. There's no. And if the judge don't do that, then you want to object. You should object every time the attorney opens their mouth. And I would object because there's no witness. The attorney cannot testify. Anything that comes out of the attorney's mouth is considered third-party hearsay information that the attorney got from reading the file. That's it. The attorney got this third-party hearsay information from reading the file. I know, but that's how you do that. And when you set yourself up like that, it's a problem for the attorneys because the attorneys can't litigate a case they're a party to. They can't represent themselves, and they can't represent the law firm they work for. They can't go into court pro se. And the way my package is set up, you're forcing them to go into court pro se. And then that's what you want to appeal. So I have a video is how to set up your appeal at the gate. That's what we talked about in that video. When you add the attorney as number one defendant and the law firm second, nobody from the law firm can help the attorney. And the attorney has to hire outside counsel. And when the outside counsel gets involved and they find out that the attorney, the foreclosure attorneys, are being sued by you because they're acting as a third-party debt collector, illegally collecting as a third-party debt collector, they freak out and they don't want nothing to do with it. And the reason is, in my opinion, is because they're dirty. They're doing the same shit. So they can't defend these people if they're doing the same shit. And the bigger problem is they know you know what's up. The cat's out of the bag, okay? You know the scam. And they don't want to get mixed up in it. I mean, you could add them to the $5.5 million and go after them for their assets and their bar card or their license or their bond or all of the three. And they know that you can do that. So they don't want, so now they have to allow the attorney to go into court and defend himself and the firm. And that's when you whip out your demand to strike the attorney's notice of appearance, because the attorney cannot represent the law firm and cannot represent himself and cannot, and now when a judge ignores that, bam, we're off to the appeals court. Now, I don't have no faith in the appeals court. I don't have any faith in anything that attorneys are connected to, but you can use the appeals court to buy yourself some time to get your title dispute filed in federal court. And the way my process works for the non-judicial package is the title dispute trumps immediate possession. So eviction court can only hear immediate possession. The whole eviction court process is bullshit. And I can't believe they get away with what they're doing, but they're doing it. So they only can hear immediate possession. So they come in with this new deed from the court that they made up fake crap, and that's what they use. Now, most people don't know that eviction court can only do immediate possession. So they started arguing stuff that you argued in the other court, which is a title dispute. And that court don't have jurisdiction to hear title dispute. Instead of moving it over to a court that has jurisdiction, the state court over there where it's supposed to be anyway, we went over that while you down the street away from state court and municipal court, we already went over that, okay? Instead of moving it back where you have a fair chance, they just rule slam the hammer down, and run your ass out the door. And now you got 10 days to get off of your property. Now, if you don't get off in the 10 days, they come and they help you put your shit out in the freaking yard. It's sad. That's how they roll. So people need to understand that when you go into eviction court, you need to have your title dispute on the record. My package for the non-judicial foreclosure situation has everything you need to put your title dispute on the record in federal court. You have the documents you need to strike the attorney's notice of appearance. You have the documents you need to challenge eviction court's jurisdiction because of the title dispute pending that you have in federal court. And you have the notice of removal. The notice of removal removes the eviction case from eviction court to be connected with your title dispute. And there ain't a freaking thing eviction court can do about it. I love it. As you tell people, go back down to eviction court and tell them to send your file over to federal court because you filed a freaking lawsuit against them fools in federal court. Yep. And this works perfect if you do not allow the judge to respond. When you file your challenge to eviction court jurisdiction, the same day you should be taking a file stamp copy of that challenge to eviction court jurisdiction, attaching it to your notice of removal, and filing that in federal court. And you tell the people at federal court, look, could you attach this to my title dispute? And if they give you any crap, you tell them, look, my legal team told me that the immediate possession cannot be determined until the title dispute's been settled. And the title dispute's in this court to be settled. And when I get done settling it, we won't need to have no other hearings because it's my property they're trying to steal. Keep it simple. You keep it simple. So a couple of other things before we wrap it up. We're coming close to the hour. And these things I talked about in a couple of streams back, but since we're talking about the attorneys, I want to touch on one real quick. So how do you control attorney in the hearing? You want to be the first one to speak up. Introduce yourself as a state citizen of the republic state that you were born in. And the reason you do that, because you want to get that on the record. And once you get that on the record, then you can tell the judge that the court does not have jurisdiction over a state citizen of the republic state of wherever you were born without an injured party. The court's statutory jurisdiction does not control you if they don't have an injured party. And this is the stuff you want to get on the record verbally, right in their face. And you want to be the first one to speak, introduce yourself, move the court to dismiss an oral motion because the attorney did not provide a witness to the court to give the court jurisdiction. The attorney cannot testify. We talked about that a second ago. The attorney is the only party who signed the foreclosure paperwork against your property. Nobody from the bank signed anything. The attorneys are the only ones that signed the complaint. So the attorney is the one that's suing you, and they lied on the lawsuit and tried to make the court think that it's the lender. And that's a fatal flaw to the action because the attorney lies to the court, and the attorney's actually the plaintiff illegally acting as a third-party debt collector. Yeah, so these are the things you want to get on the record to make the judge have to set back and visualize the shared liability. And you always want to reference your legal team. My legal team says when you go to court to file your paperwork, when you go to court to file your stuff you got from me, and they look at you the second time, no, dude, there shouldn't be a problem with that because my legal team is very thorough. And my legal team, and if they're giving you crap, I'm going to want to, so what's your name? I always tell people to take a little notepad. The little notepad the police use when they show up at your house the second or third time, and they ask you the same shit that you didn't do the first time. Now, I'm not talking about showing up at my house. I watch a lot of TV. Okay. But when the police show up the second or third time and they're asking you to do the same shit they asked you to do the first couple of times. Okay, but this time the difference is they whip out that little notepad, that little tiny notepad that they write in, they scribble in, and they ask you, so what was your name, sir? Well, that's what you want to do. When the clerk starts giving you a hard time, don't say, "Oh, well, I don't know. No, the hell with that." You gotta play it off. Now, your shit might be jacked up. Who gives a crap? But while you're standing right there, you're gonna be like, "Oh no, no, dude, my legal team got this done, and I don't know what you're talking about, but they're gonna be grumpy when I go back and tell them you're talking this crap." So what are you basing this on? So where's your statute at that says I need to do all this extra stuff? Because my legal team told me that there's one statute in the Civil Rules of Procedure for each state for filing a filing requirement, and my legal team told me that these documents meet the filing requirement. Now, my legal team also told me that the court tries to make everybody follow the local rules, which are BS and are contrary to the Constitution. And the reason they want you to follow the local rules is because the local rules are for the attorneys, and they help speed things up through court faster so the attorneys can make more money and steal more people's stuff. Yeah, I would tell them all of that. You want them to think you're crazy. There you go. You want them to think you're crazy. Yep. And the local rules are not the rules that you have to follow because they're not in the Civil Rules of Procedure, the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. And when you get done with all that, if they deny filing your stuff, what I would ask them is, I need to talk to your supervisor, please. Whip out your notepad. Yep, because you finna act like the po-po up in here. When the supervisor comes, then you ask supervisor, my legal team wants me to ask you one question. Do you guys have the authority to make a legal determination on my paperwork? If they say yes, then you need to write down what their names are because your legal team is going to want to know specifically what their names are. In most cases, they don't even answer. They take your stuff and they go file your shit. And I had one guy, he was in federal court trying to get his stuff filed. And he filed the sanction motion and all of the stuff at the same time, which I don't suggest that you do that because it just makes it more difficult. And so this person gave him his stuff. They came back and said, well, we can't file this. Well, they were pissed because he had the attorney that's never one defendant. And he told them, in there is an exhibit, the petition, the claim, and the complaint, and it shows the attorney is the only signature on it. That's why the attorney is the one on the lawsuit. And they told him they couldn't file it. And he told them, well, there's a camera right there, and so that camera shows that you guys took my stuff, so you can do whatever you want with it. And he walked out. Now the dude was black. So they took his stuff and threw his shit in the trash can. And I guess, obviously they'll try to see if they could get in and act stupid so they could come in and do what they like to do, So he said that he walked around in the federal building for about 10 or 15 minutes trying to find a prosecutor's office so he could report him. I'm like, dude, that's not the way that goes, okay? The federal prosecutor's office ain't going to do shit good until no, that's not the way it goes. But you're making me laugh now, Anyway, he said he got out to his car. He sat down trying to smoke a cigarette because he was so mad. And they called him. So they called him on the phone. And they told him, dude, we just talked to a pro se attorney, and the pro se attorney told us that we had to file your stuff. So we filed your stuff. And of course, I'm thinking, okay, so there's some lying ass fools. Okay, that's the best they could do. A pro se attorney? Like, are you kidding me right now? What the hell is a pro se attorney? I ain't never heard of that. So, and the only reason they filed it because he didn't take it back. So, the moral of the story is you gotta be willing to do whatever it takes, and you gotta be willing to go in talking some shit and acting like you know some stuff, even if you don't know a stinking thing. Now, you used to say in sports, you gotta fake it till you make it and hope you don't break it. Yeah. Okay, so um, some people are experiencing foreclosure, new era from COVID-19. Yeah, JM. So is that JM? Are you Jimmy Stein and Dylan Shea? Property taxes for people um, buy first house. So and Dylan Shea, you are the one that got in my online course that I have for judicial foreclosure defense, and you're doing the property tax thing, huh? MYX Capital. Keep up the good work, guy. Thank you. So, property tax on your first home. So, the person that I'm helping in the course is struggling with the first payment. And I've been working on a program that people can use to attack their fraudulent mortgage loan before you're in default and before they're trying to do foreclosures on you. And I think we're going to use it in this guy. I'm not sure if this person is the same person, but I have a person that got in my group, and he got in the group and he's looking at a property tax situation, but I tell him not to worry about it because, I'll provide him everything that he needs um, to get done what he needs to get done. So eventually I'll have an online course for the property tax. My next thing I need to do an online course for the non-judicial foreclosures, and I need to do one. I may do the one for the credit card lawsuit first, because a lot of people are going to be suffering from the credit card lawsuit, and that one's pretty easy. It won't take very long, and it's only going to be a $300 or $400 course, so it's not going to be like $1,200. So the credit card lawsuit, and this lawsuit course is going to teach you how to sue the credit card company for coming after you, and how to make the credit card company call their credit reporting agency and clean up your score and remove all the fake information that they serve to them. And this process will help you help you repair your credit score almost overnight, because the attorneys call them up, and especially if you have medical debts that they're collecting illegally, and if it's a medical debt, it's illegal collection, because people don't realize that your medical billing is covered under HIPAA. So if they have medical debts by a third party coming after you, it's a HIPAA violation. And I have a medical debt letter on my website for 20 freaking dollars. Now, this medical debt letter was part of the lawsuit package, but no one ever needed the lawsuit package. So I didn't want to charge $400 for it when all they needed was a letter. So I separated it and put the letter on for 20 bucks, just because I like helping people kick attorneys in the face. So I put my foot where my mouth's at, or my money where something, something about that. You can take that and fix it up however you want to make it. So, and we'll be covering the property tax again. Maybe we'll talk about it maybe we'll talk about that Saturday. You guys let me know when I come on Saturday. I'll be on Saturday night on YouTube, and I'll probably just stream on StreamYard. I can stream on everything all at the same time. That's like really badass. So I may do that on Saturday night. It's usually between 9 and 10 and 10:30. I'll do a stream, and we'll talk about the property tax and a couple of other things. I like to add a couple of extra things in there because it gets boring if you just talk about one thing, and this helps people keep looking at my stuff. So that's all I got for tonight. Went a little over, but we're good. And if you guys have somebody wanted me to talk about the something I mentioned, you guys send me an email. John wanted me to talk about something. I don't even remember what it was he said. So you got to be specific in your email, John, so I'll remember what you're talking about, or I'm going to think that you're crazy because I can never be. Okay, sorry. Anyway, good night, guys, and I will see you. Oh, we're going to talk about the online course, but I got a little carried away in overtime. Well, what the hell? let's look at the course anyway. Let me see. Let me do a screen share, and we'll pull the course up and look at it real quick because that's important. If I'm going past your bedtime, you can tell your mummies that you're doing homework. Okay, so let me pull up the online course so you guys can see what it looks like. Here we go. So let me click on it there. And this is what the course looks like when you get, this is what the curriculum looks like. And I'm going to add next week, I'm almost finished with it. I'm going to add a new lecture on how to how to properly state a claim for relief, the way the attorneys want you to do it. So I've kind of been hesitating to do the crap the way the attorneys want and got my own little program. But I had a couple of people that got jammed up because of that, and it was a little more difficult. So we're going to just take care of it, and I'm going to add that in as a lecture, probably pretty close to the top of the list. So that people will see it, because you need to know. Now, what I've done is I have the notes and I put together a guide for the things that you have to have in place to be able to properly state a claim for relief. And then I also put together the actual claim for relief for the people that are already in court. You don't have to worry about trying to do all of this, and you can just copy and paste this in the first page of your document underneath the first section. And I'm going to now, the online course Facebook page, I posted a copy of the claim for relief in that page. So, and I'm going to actually this later on this week or at the beginning of next week, get this in the course. So everybody in the course will have access to it. Now, let's see if I'm logged in. No, I'm not logged in. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I am logged in. So this is what the course outline looks like. I'll give you guys a chance to take a look at it for a second while I sip on my drink. And now I set this up. Originally, I had it set up to where you had to go through the lectures in order. But I had a couple of people that. Welcome to the course. My name is Coach Neighbor. I had a couple of people that let me know that, well, they're at the end process trying to stop the eviction. So they needed to be able to jump ahead to the eviction stuff to make sure, So I changed it now so you don't have to go through each in order. Now, if you're beginning or new to this, you'd probably want to make sure that you watch all the lectures before you actually start filling out the paperwork. And if you're calling me with questions that you missed in the lecture, I'm going to know that you didn't watch that stuff. And then I'm going to probably say something like, my job is not to make your job easy, but to help you learn. So what you're asking me is already either on the website or in the curriculum. I'm going to send you there to go find it. And some people get grumpy with me for doing that. And I'm going to tell you why I do that. Because I'm not an attorney and I'm not the one that's running your show. You are. Okay. So you got to figure out how to do these things. And you're not going to figure out how to do them calling me and asking me, what do I do next? Okay. As a matter of fact, when you get something in the mail from the court, I don't want you to call me If you're really anxious about it, then don't call me for a week. Okay. So what you need to do before you call me is you need to research that document. You need to look up the words you don't understand. You need to search the document online. You need to figure out what that document is for and why they sent it to you. And you also need to figure out what your next game plan is going to be going forward. Then you can call me and you say, hey, I got this document, blah, 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 and this is what I think they're trying to do. And this is what I think I need to be doing to protect my property. Now, when you tell me the name of the document or whatever, it'll all fit together because I've been doing this for a minute. And I already know exactly where you're at. But it's important for you to do that because if you don't do that, you will not get the skills you need to look this stuff up. Like, for instance, the codes. If we're talking about the codes for something, you're going to have to look up the code for your state. Now, all you have to do if you're looking up the code for foreclosure is foreclosure code for the state of New York or something. It's pretty simple, but people freak all the time before they figure out that it's pretty simple. Okay. So you need to figure out what you need to do. And then when you call me, you tell me, hey, this is what I got. This is what I think it means. And this is what I think I should do. Now, at that point, I'm like, dude, you've done a great job. Whether or not you know what the hell you're talking about, it could be a different story. But you've done a great job stepping up to the plate to do this. Pretty soon, you'll start getting it. Now, you don't come out and start jamming off the first time or out the door. No, I didn't either. Yeah, I've had my stuff thrown out the door a lot. Now, recently, though, take it easy. Take it easy. But, yeah, so this is my welcome video. And I will be your coach for this course titled Wrongful Foreclosure Lawsuit DIY. Do it yourself. Got a little lag in there. So I played football for the University of Kansas back in the 80s some time ago. Got married and raised 3 wonderful kids. Well, I don't want to let you guys have to listen to me the whole time. You have to listen to me enough. So we're gonna, okay, now I love this. This is about the instructor. Now, this picture I posted, when you look at it on the thing, it's like almost the size of the entire screen. And this is it. Dream big and make it happen. Now, a whole bunch of years ago when I told people, well, yeah, I'm going to learn how to help people fight foreclosures. And I'm going to, people like, yeah, okay. Good job. Good luck. Yeah, well, we're doing it now. And yeah, it's okay. And I love my job. So you guys can just see here, this is just a little bit about me. And we'll move on to a little bit about what to expect in the course. And then the resources. Now, originally I put the resources all on one page. And then I decided that wasn't going to work because then you have to be switching back and forth. So I left some of the resources on the resource page here, but then I also added the resource that you need on the page that you need it on. For instance, on the lawsuit document, the resource that you need the video to help you with that is on that page. So it'll be a whole lot easier navigating through and you won't have to flip back and forth. So, and this is one of the top resources. I had Ken from California send me this, the Top Secret Banker's Manual. Oh my God, this has some really cool stuff in it. Now, the guy that wrote this is a little over the top. And, so when you read it, you got to make sure that you take away from this the stuff that connects with what you're doing here, what I'm teaching you how to do. And there's other stuff he says, we got to get the bankers in trouble and do all this stuff. No, I don't bother the bankers, okay? I do not bother the bankers. I'm going to stick with messing with the attorneys, okay? Because That's the ones that's actually messing with you now, is the attorneys. And it's kind of like, if you're hunting, you're not going to pick the biggest animal until you're going to get that little small one, because you don't have to eat a whole meal and stuff yourself. You just need to be able to not be hungry. So we're going to go after the attorney, which is the smaller of the rats, as opposed to going after the bank. And that's been working out pretty well. When you guys get in the course, if you get in the course, do not spend the whole time reading all 250 pages of this. Okay, what I would suggest is flip through. There's one section in here on the banker's biggest fear. That's obviously the section that I would read first. And you only need to read a couple of sections. It's more important to go through the lectures and look and get the documents filled out that you need to have in court to protect your property. Now, once you get the main document, well, the first document that you're going to file is the jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit in the state case to blow it up. Once you get that document filed, you're going to be out on a 50-yard line. And then you can throw some passes and do some stuff. You can do some fancy dance stuff. Once you get that done, you can start studying this manual and start looking at some other things and doing things. But the first thing you want to do is get that jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit stuck in their face. That's the first order of business. This is pretty long. And here are a few other resources that I left on this page. The Magistrate Judge Reconsideration package, I added that to the judicial and the non-judicial lawsuit packages. So you got to have what you need to smack the judge in the face. And it comes with all of this. In this course, you have access to everything that I have to help with this problem. So that's one way to look at it. Okay, so out of that resource, I outlined the banker's ultimate fears and put him here. And we use some of this for our, we use some of that for our lawsuit. Then we have a section on tips and strategies. So you can see that I spent a lot of time in putting this together. And I have a few stories in here, and it comes with videos. You can see all of these are videos. And I talk about the things that you need to look out for, the things that are going to be a problem for you along the way, the things that, and then down here, well, setting yourself up for an appeal at the gate. That's one of the videos that we have. And this is talking about the issue of the attorney being forced to defend himself and the lawsuit. So now, getting started, things you need to know. And we talk about the documents that you need to file a jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit, or outline everything in here that you need to know. We talk about the documents there. So you guys can see the course is very well put together, and I need to add a few more things to it. The last addition that I did to it was I added this section here on suing your attorney, your ex-attorney, time to sue your ex-attorney. And I put together a legal malpractice / breach of contract lawsuit that you can use to file against the attorney that you paid. And what's different about this is the attorneys are the one that structured the current legal system. So in order to prove damages for legal malpractice, you almost have to have somebody die. A whole lot of people die. So we changed ours. And what we're doing is we're going after them for legal malpractice and breach of contract. And we're suing for attorney fees. And and maybe their bar license. What the hell? We're not going for damages. We're going for attorney fees. You can say the bar license for damages, but at least it gives you a shot at getting your feedback. And if you are a pain in the butt, they might want you to shut up and just want to work out something. So at least I was putting you in a position so that you can see, and that's included in the course. Now, next week on the radio show, I'm probably going to have this legal malpractice breach of contract lawsuit priced at a steal deal for people who need to use it for the weekend, like I did last week on the eliminating property tax lawsuit package. So you guys might want to make sure you don't miss the show next Wednesday on HamiltonRadio.net if you got an attorney that took your money and didn't do shit for you. So, okay, I think that's it now. Now I'm thirsty. It's time for a beer. I mean, it's time for something. Water. It's time for water. So I'll see you guys Saturday night. And send me an email, John. Send me an email about what you wanted me to go over. And as long as it's connected to what I do, okay, I'm not going to spend my time. Now, I say that with a grain of salt. I did spend some time learn how to do the claim for relief. But I work better when you send me stuff to research or questions to fill out that's connected to what we're doing. Okay, I don't want to spend my time talking about how to file an appeal or how to do all this other stuff in their system or how to fight your case in state court, because that's not what we do. We blow the case up in state court with a jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit, bam, and then we move on over to federal court and start getting your $5.5 million licks in. So that's how we roll. So I will see you guys on Saturday night.